Well, thank you very much, Chana Stewart, for visiting with us today to talk about your work as a kindergarten and first grade teacher.
Yeah, I'm a kindergarten and first grade teacher at the East Palo Alto Charter School, which is a wonderful school in East Palo Alto, not far away from Stanford. And the school was founded by families in the community who were really wanting to provide their children with good educational opportunities. And the school has a really great partnership between parents and the staff. So there's really a lot of collaboration, and the community at our school really cares both about empowering our students to be compassionate and caring individuals, as well as really academically prepared for whatever they would like to do in their future. So we have a very strong social emotional learning component at our school that we weave through our day. So that looks like starting off the morning with greeting each child and welcoming them into the classroom. And I always want my kids to feel like we are really grateful that they are there and that we care about each and every child. We are very much like a family in our classroom and among our whole school. And our students start by greeting each other in the morning. We have a morning meeting. We have an opportunity for kids to check in with one another, share what's going on for them, and really build relationships between each other. We spend time kind of building classroom agreements and thinking about how we can uphold those. And it's pretty impressive to see the conversations that even 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds can have about how they want to be treated and how they want others to treat them.
For example?
For this year, the agreements that my students co-created were that they wanted to be kind to one another, to work hard, to help each other grow. And once we kind of had this conversation about it, they then each had their own index card where they drew a picture of what that looked like for them, and then we have those posted up in our classroom, and all of our students have signed that sort of as a contract that we come back to as we need to if agreements are needing to be mended, or we want to re-emphasize certain agreements or really focus on them. So that's really kind of a cornerstone at the beginning of our year for us to have common language about what we hope for in our classroom.
Did the founders have a theory about learning? Did they think that compassion and kindness would affect higher learning or greater learning?
I've been there for about 7 years, so I can speak to my experience since I have been there. And one of the moments that stands out for me is we had a staff meeting pretty early on in my time at EPACS, where we kind of thought about what our vision and mission was for our students. And one of the big pieces that came out of it was, not only do we want our students to be successful in college and in their career, but also to be like really caring citizens and being able to contribute to their community and make their community better. And we kind of thought about what were some of the characteristics of a successful graduate, and a lot of the things that we were coming up with were social emotional skills. And so we really recognize that while academics are really important and we really want our kids to be prepared academically, that needs to also be coupled with strong social emotional skills. And so we began really thinking about how to make that a priority in our curriculum and how to build in social emotional learning throughout our school day.
Do you believe that teaching, practicing kindness and compassion is a better tool or an effective tool in teaching the regular classes that you would be teaching in any school?
Yeah, so our curriculum is definitely always evolving, but some of the things that we've really focused on in our classroom this year are having kindness circles. So that's an opportunity where students can come in and reflect on what was an act of kindness that another student did for them and how did that make them feel, and really helping students to celebrate how much kindness can affect others. And so that's something that we do on a regular basis when we come in from recess or from a special class that students were in, like an art class or a Spanish class. So just an opportunity when they're re-entering into our classroom to share those acts of kindness. And I think we also, in the beginning of the year, we build a caring tree, which is a tree we have on our wall that we are constantly adding leaves to, of moments when we've seen students caring about one another. And oftentimes at the beginning of the year, I will call those out and I will say, wow, I really just noticed like this person's materials fell on the floor and their partner just stopped and helped them pick it up without even thinking about it. That's really, really kind of you. You can really see that you care about one another. Or this student came in feeling a little bit sad. Something happened at home that was really hard for them, and immediately other students comforted them and gave them a hug and said, are you okay? Like, you really, really care about one another. And I think at the beginning of the year, it's really me calling out those moments. And as the year goes on, students will be able to then say, like, this student was really kind to me and I want to celebrate it and add it to our tree. So that's really kind of a way that we're constantly bringing that into light in our classroom. We also talk a lot about what does it mean to be optimistic and resilient and flexible in the face of challenges? And we build a lot of lessons around conflict resolution and how to talk something out, especially if you're feeling like frustrated or you have like a really strong emotion, how to really navigate your emotions and then how to be able to have a constructive conversation to solve a conflict. And I think those are skills that we really want for students to have as life skills, not just like within our classroom, but outside when they're in the world and they're no longer with us. So one example is that we do a lot of restorative practices. So if a student breaks an agreement, for example, they in the classroom are treating their friends with kindness, but then maybe on the playground are struggling with that a little bit. And so I have a student who, a really, really wonderful student who I love, who is much more impulsive, especially when he's in more unstructured time on the playground. And he had a moment where he had pushed another student, and whereas in the past I might have first gone to giving that student a consequence, as we've worked on more restorative practices, we've talked about how even those moments can be learning opportunities for our kids. And so rather than saying, now you're missing recess as a consequence, this child wrote like a reflection about how he was feeling and what prompted that action. And then he had created a caring menu, which was a menu of different things that he could do to show this other child that he did care about him and that he wanted to make it right. And so on his caring menu, he wrote things like, I could give him a hug, I could read a book with him, I could pick him a flower from the garden, and just all of these different ways that he could show that he did care and that he was really sorry for what he had done. And then that caring menu went up in our classroom as kind of a reminder, not just for him, but for other students, about how you can have a productive conflict resolution. And he, talked it out. We have a stick with an ear and a stick with a mouth so that kids can practice listening, because that's very challenging when they're younger. They both want to talk at the same time. And so giving students an opportunity to be the speaker and be the listener, and taking turns sharing how an action made them feel and what they would like to do to try to resolve that is a really important part of our classroom culture as well.
I'd like to know more about the actual curriculum, how you introduce kindness and compassion into studies of reading, writing, and arithmetic.
We are a workshop school, which means that we use readers and writers workshop, and our math curriculum is very conceptual and exploratory, and a lot of the work that students are doing in their academic work is actually involves a lot of collaboration as well, and a lot of interpersonal skills and teamwork. For example, in math, they might be working on solving a math problem together, or they might be playing a math game together. And so even though they're also working on their math skills, in those same moments, they're also learning how to communicate productively and how to listen to one another's ideas and how to resolve conflicts that come up when you want to take the turn first. And so I think even during those times when we are focusing on academic work, we also have a lot of social and emotional learning goals as well.
Have the longer-term outcomes been studied? Do we know what happened to these students?
We first found that students were successfully getting into college, but then really struggling to be successful throughout college. And so we've been really trying to connect with our graduates and interview and find out what it is that was hard for them and what we could be doing earlier on to support them. And one of the things that we really found was a lot of the social emotional skills was something that we really wanted to prioritize all through our K-12 system. We also have a lot of really wonderful success stories. We have a wonderful teacher at our school who's actually a student and then graduated from the Aspire Teacher Residency, which is a teaching program that our charter organization runs, and she's now a second grade teacher at our school. So we definitely have some really, really incredible graduates, and we are starting to see them come back into the community, which is really powerful.
What's the demography of the students in the school? What kind of a population and how many are there?
The school serves students in the East Palo Alto community. So it is a charter school, which is a public school that has a charter, meaning that we have a little bit more control over how we teach and what curriculum we use and how we build our program for students. But it is open to anyone in the community that would like to come to our school. I can't speak to the high school, but the elementary school has about 460 students. The majority of our students are students of color. Many of them are Hispanic. We have some students who are Black, some students who are Pacific Islander, but many of the students' families have immigrated to the United States, and they are mostly from the East Palo Alto community and surrounding community. Yeah.
Sounds like California.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Sure.